Well, gentlemen, I thank you for being here in our studio. Now, around the world, governments are spending large amounts of money on ICT. It must be for something. Something must be happening with ICT around the world. Now, in Africa, how widespread is the use of it? And Nick, let me let you have a go at it.
That's a good question, Magnus. How widespread? I'll say very little exposure to ICT in Africa, especially in Nigeria also. If I look into the average school, you have to ask a question: how many video cameras, how many video training systems they have? You'd be lucky to find maybe one or two in the average school. So really the question to that, not very widespread.
So, but is there something to it? As I said, around the world, we hear of the United States spending a lot of money on ICT in schools. In Europe, the same thing is happening. So is there something that we will be missing because it's not widespread in Africa, as Nick has said, Mike?
Yes. There's a lot we'll be missing.
Yeah.
One, we'll not be catching up with the world. ICT in schools actually help the kids to catch up with their peers around the world. And the reason why it's not widespread in Nigeria and in Africa is one of the issues of implementation of government policies.
Okay, but my question is, one of the things I'm wondering about is, how will it, okay, say you're reading biology from your textbook. I am reading my biology from my textbook. Just because I did not read it from an iPad, then I don't know biology as well as the guy that read it from the iPad? Where's the advantage of the ICT here?
Fine. If we go back, for example, even talk about education,
yes.
Quality and standard, the resources available currently in Nigeria is very limited. Now, one of the things we've actually played around with video conferencing, you can take a classroom environment in the UK, that same environment can be built into the classroom here in Nigeria. So the benefits of that is you raise the standard of teaching within our shores here. Without that, you've got teachers who have limited resources, teaching material, teaching children. How far can they raise those children on a global platform? They can't. Okay,
but then our teachers, are they equipped? Do they have the wherewithal? Do they have the experience? Do they have the technical know-how to use ICT materials? Let's say at the elementary school level. Perhaps at the university level, I would say that they do to some extent. But elementary school level, do they?
To answer that, elementary school level, no. Reason why is that the teachers are not being re-educated. One, exposure to ICT. Most teachers actually go ahead to reteach themselves or educate themselves personally. The government is not spending enough money or they're not providing infrastructure.
Yeah.
So they cannot impact what they don't know or what they don't have to the kids, and it's going to really affect the students.
I think we're almost in a situation where students are actually more ICT literate than the teachers.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this is quite rightly, it's very difficult for let's say even the children to actually take any kind of, let's say, I'm learning from my teacher, because the teacher has no exposure. Some school proprietors have tried initiatives to try and encourage some of their teachers to actually undertake, we have the computers, we'll invest in you, try and actually learn about it.
Yeah.
But the general attitude across, let's say, teachers is, why should I take my own time to do it? So we're back where we started.
Yeah, so as he was saying, there is not the investment by our government, so to speak, in ICT across the board as we should have it. But let me go back to my facetious question that I asked earlier when I was talking about, do you know more biology because they're using an iPad versus not using it. So, but the thing is, if just to pick up on that, although I was being kind of funny when I said that, but again, I want people to kind of say, okay, why should I use ICT stuff? Because what's important, somebody can say, what's important is, do you know a quadratic equation? Can you solve a simultaneous equation? what the things I'm supposed to know in 4th grade, do I not know them? Is my knowledge diminished because I did not use ICT?
Okay.
You know, what achievement advantage would the people in advanced economies that are using ICT have over our kids that are not using ICT when they're done with school?
Okay. Let's say, for example, from a student's perspective,
Yes.
you're trying to, for example, you're revising for an exam. You will not always have your lecturer sitting with you at home. You might have to go through past exam papers. How do we work solutions out? If you don't have access to ICT, it makes it very difficult for you. With ICT exposure, you can log onto a system, go through test questions, solutions, that will actually guide you through. Without that, I think the child's more or less borderline on the failure as a pass margin as opposed to excelling.
Okay, to add to that, now we have global exams that students take.
Okay.
Take, for example, the GRE, the GMAT,
Yes.
and
IGCSE.
IGCS. A student in Nigeria is going to take the same exams with the student in the UK at almost about the same time. With the help of the ICT, a student in Nigeria can actually learn and go broader in the syllabus. But if he doesn't have it, he's just going to read through the book. He's not going to stand and have the same mark with the student in the UK.
No, but there are certain things they're supposed to know, and those things are in the books.
They are.
You're supposed to know this, that, and that, and that, and that, and they're all in the books.
Okay, but there is
and I know them. So just because I
there
didn't
is a
read it
difference.
off an iPad.
There is a difference between, for example, as we apply for university places.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, we're looking for the top 20%, the A grades, the AS.
Yes.
A child has got very limited exposure, resource materials,
Yes.
will find it very difficult to hit into the top 5%.
Okay.
And that is where the issue will actually come out.
Because there are additional stuff
Yeah.
beyond what they are
Have in
taught
the
in school
And
and in the textbooks
Yes.
that they should. There are new things
Yeah.
coming. Now, let us not segue into the private sector. Because
No, we're going to stay here.
In the workplace, where is ICT used in how we deploying, what's the role of ICT in the workplace in Africa today? Let's take Nigeria as an example.
in Nigeria, in
Yes.
the workplace, we have gone a lot way ahead because you don't go into any company without finding a minimum of a system, at least a
Computer.
A computer.
Yes.
And for people to use that, it's not expected before you're employed in any workplace, you must at least have a minimum standard of how to use the system, maybe check the mail or solve the internet if you cannot. And that has really helped us to a great long way.
Can I just go against that slightly?
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of the workplace, it hasn't gone as far as it should go. For example,
But Nick, we exist in this area now.
yes,
We
okay,
also don't
okay,
exist.
okay. Yes, we do exist,
Yeah.
but I think we could do a lot better. For example, I mean, you're going to go to a government department to put a proposal forward. What does a person do? He's got one of these papers, flick, and you're thinking, this could be done very easy. All it is basically a database system, track up, where are we?
Yeah.
Come back next week, he's forgotten which folder, which book he's put it into. Or better still, you've got a mail room with loads of folders. So from the top, we haven't quite integrated ICT properly the way we should do it. Now, in the workplace, and I think this probably reflects on the university level, yes, it's assumed that the average employee should be able to use a computer. That's in reality, that's what the idea should be. In reality, they don't. Get about it, so you have a lot of people say, I've got a degree, but okay, fine. What do you know how to use a computer? Do you know how to use MS Word? They can just about 20% know how to use it. PowerPoint, yes. Beyond that, only less of basic Microsoft packages, Access, less than 5% know how to use it. So really, we haven't really come up in the marketplace.
Yeah.
In terms of the advanced ICT, we can't get beyond the basic.
Yeah.
Then it really leaves a lot of questions to be asked.
Okay, gentlemen, I cannot close this without looking at the connection with curbing corruption. I mean, that's a serious issue we know that we face in the country, and even outside of Nigeria, people have looked at Nigeria as a country dealing with the corruption issue. How can ICT help us? How can we use it to show to the world that, hey, look what we're doing now, fighting corruption? And I know the government is tackling it and all of that, but is there a way that they can demonstrate very clearly to the world that, look, we're even using ICT to be sure that I know that, for example, let me just be clear, that the Ministry of Finance is doing something. I know that the coordinating minister started some things there, but how can we make that pervasive across the country?
Well, going to taxation,
yeah,
we're actually trying. The government is trying with ICT and company. It's been helpful to generating revenue. Because before, the loopholes were paperwork, going to pay your tax, somebody can duplicate the receipt and the genuine tax clearance and give to you. But right now, they're having a portal that you can go online, that's you mean, self-assess yourself without having to go to an accountant, an auditor, or to the bank. And you know how much you're supposed to pay with the ATM. With your AE money platform, you can pay and you get your receipt. They're actually going ahead to get something from Canon where you can print out your receipt online and it reads in their office. That's a very good way of curbing corruption.
It's good from the ground level. From the ground level, the ordinary person in the street, yes. From the other top, from the top level, where when we talk about corruption, we're talking about the individual one or two people in the street. Those are paying their taxes. I think probably one way we can use ICT is what I call disclosure. At the end of the day, for example, all the public, all the government departments, the receipts and all that, we've just passed a Freedom of Information Bill. So why can we not use that? Here it is, log onto the site, this is what happened.
Actually, that is being done by Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
I know that quarterly, you can see they print it out in the newspapers, in the government gazette, and you can go online. For I know how much my local government gets every month. Because I can access it from the papers.
Now, does your local government tell you what they use the money for every month? That's
the question.
Yeah. Well, Nick, any final thoughts on this broad subject?
All I would say basically is that ICT is really the world, is the future. Without ICT, I hate to use the word, no one really exists. The country does not exist.
And Mike?
Okay. ICT is the future. The Nigerian government has to embrace ICT completely. And turning around to make our schools from the primary school level to the secondary school level, we have to go and implement the policies that are in place. It's not good enough to just make policies every year and not implementing it.
All right, on that note, gentlemen, I want to thank you so very much. Mike, thank you so very much. Thank you.